actually. There was a typhoon here. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. But let's see if this is actually working. I'm going to see if I can see myself on the channel. Is it live? Am I just talking to myself? Let's have a look. Is anybody here? And I've got a friend watching who doesn't really know what I do, so should be interesting. Let's see. Yeah, I can see myself moving about. Okay. Oh, here we go. We have people. Great. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, we have people. We can get started. We can get going. Fantastic. It takes a while for it to actually start. So, first of all, hello. It's been quite a while. It's been quite a while. Mostly because of health stuff. I know I keep saying that, but it's literally just been that kind of a year. I was just about to turn a corner, and then Saturn Uranus hit and decided to try to lop my neck off. That didn't work. And so I am back here, but pacing myself, taking time, missing work, because as you know, I'm a Cappy, and us Capricorns like to keep working. So yes, as all of you should know, those of you who follow a modicum of astrology, we are basically just minutes away from the solar eclipse in Scorpio, conjunct Venus, going exact. And for me, I'll be honest with you, it took me a while to get to grips with Venus. It took me a while. Mars, I could get an intuitive feeling and understanding of. My Mars in Pisces definitely helped with that. But I have Venus in Scorpio. And for those of you who have Venus in Scorpio, you know that it takes a while to figure out what exactly is going on, because not everything is immediately apparent. There's a lot of intensity, there's a lot of magnetism, there's a lot of pull, there's a lot of draw, but you don't really know what it is until you begin to start that process of inner excavation and inner understanding. And of course, that takes you back into things like your past lives, like your family, and so on and so forth. But it all comes with that inner analysis and inner awakening and understanding. But for me, this particular eclipse was something that feels familiar. But for a lot of you, it might be a case of, why is everything suddenly so dense? What do I need to go and dig through now? Why are veils suddenly appearing? What's going on? And of course, we're very, very close to one of the Sabbaths. Halloween, as most of you would know, but Samhain, as those of you who would use the proper term. So it is one of those times where we are at a turning of the wheel. For those of you in the northern hemisphere, certainly a time where the veils are thinner. So this would be a time of greater psychic sensitivity. It may be a little harder for you to maintain certain boundaries. All of you all need to be practicing psychic protection before you sleep. No doubt about that, especially if you've got very sensitive kids or fur babies or feather babies. Make sure you got some carnelian, angelite, celestite. This is the season to be using it. But, those are general comments. But let's take a look at the actual eclipse itself and see what it tries to tell us and what it tries to teach us. So that's what we're really going to be focused on today. And I know I'm pacing myself, so I'm not jumping as I used to straight into the heart of the matter. Most of you all probably like, she's alive. We should say hello. But before I get started, let me have a look at comments. If there's anything urgent we need to address. I mostly see hellos. Good to see, good to see. I'm getting better slowly, one day at a time, one day at a time. So let's get to the now and let's look at what exactly is happening. Okay, so the exact moment where the eclipse goes astrologically exact is 10:48 universal time. And right now is 8:17. So we've got a little bit of time before it goes exact. But what is interesting is that this eclipse is also going to be occulting Venus, meaning it is going to be covering Venus, so to speak. So if you were to imagine here we are on Earth and there Venus is in space, this whole dance that the moon and sun is doing is kind of occulting, obscuring the energy of that planet to us. That's an easy way to describe it. So, what this is likely to do is it's likely to bring up old issues that have yet to be resolved, especially to do with Venus. And Venus covers a whole bunch of things. Yes, it covers love. Yes, it covers relationship. Yes, it deals with your sisters. Yes, it also deals with anyone who really holds a very strong feminine frequency in their bodies and that connection to the sacred feminine. It covers a lot. It also covers abundance. It also covers, I would say, a key aspect of, when I say will, I'm not talking about the hard will. I'm not talking about willpower as in asserting yourself into the world and doing things, but really what it takes to have will itself. Before something is acted upon, there is some kind of hidden desire that acts as, an impulse to create momentum. This is the kind of foundational will, or where the desire to be actually exists and comes from. At least that's the way I see Venus, but that's like more of a philosophical stance. But generally speaking, finances, love, contracts, partnerships of all kinds, this is what we need to be looking at right now. And because this is happening as part of an eclipse, what we also need to be very aware of is how this connects to previous eclipses in the series. Now, if you're wondering what series I'm talking about, it's not anything you can watch on Netflix. Eclipses are classified in terms of multiple ways, but the most common way that is used in astrology to describe eclipses is the Saros series. So I'm just going to do a quick lookup of which Saros number this particular eclipse has. And you can actually just find all this information on Wikipedia as well. You don't have to like download any, super intense or super sophisticated stuff. Just type in Saros cycle, Saros, and you will basically get it on Wikipedia. So this particular eclipse is in the Saros series 124. So if you click on that, you will also see the other eclipses in this particular series. As I said, going slow today, catching up speed. So if we were to look at previous eclipses in the cycle, the previous one in this particular cycle was October 14, 2004, October 3rd, 1986. Prior to that, September 1968, September 1950. And guessing the average age of the viewership, 1950 would be a decent cutoff point. So look at what happened at these general times of year, especially those of you watching. I guess the October 86 date would be quite relevant. October 2004 date would be quite relevant. Look at what major decisions may have come up for you in your life at that time. And it may not be something very straightforward, but looking back, you may see it as a starting point of something. Maybe a business, maybe a relationship, maybe a particular commitment, maybe something to do with your health. Because Scorpio is also very profoundly connected to the energy of life force. One of the reasons why people fear Scorpio so much is, yes, it's the unknown. Yes, it's the hidden. Yes, it can be very dark and very creepy sometimes. But Scorpio is also the energy that deals with sex, death, and taxes. It is where all of the alchemy of life kind of, churns in the background. And sometimes we actually have to die in one way or another to experience that alchemy, to experience the rebirth that Scorpio provides. But Scorpio as a whole does not really grant its favors until a person understands what the energy of Scorpio is about. Scorpio's energy is about that sense of will that is so deep in the roots of your being that there's no word for it, there's no conceptualization. You can call it a very instinctive drive. And things like security, things like sexuality, these are all of those types of drives that come up. You may not even be aware of it, which is why it tends to be very subconscious. And Scorpio also gives us the ability to move forward, to kind of power the way of reaching whatever that goal is. So when people try to attain things with the scorpionic frequency, if they are coming at a lower vibration of things, they will try to control, they will try to hide, they will try to manipulate, they will try to own what is not theirs or to grow at the expense of somebody else. That's why Scorpio gets such a bad rep. It's also very associated with the energy of warfare. It is all about control and dominance. But as you continue moving forwards in your spiritual journey and you realize that the only real control that you need to find is on yourself, and one particular baby who needs to learn this lesson is meowing in the background, the only type of control that you really need to find is over yourself, because you cannot control anyone around you. You cannot control what happens on this planet. You cannot control this planet. You cannot even control the actions of someone who is very, very close to you. You cannot control your ancestors. You cannot control who walks into your place of business. These are all things that we ultimately have to find different ways of coping with. And this is where Scorpio actually initiates us in different ways on the very, very transformative journey that Spirit ultimately wants us to take. And once we let go of what we think our desires are, and we actually allow ourselves to align more fully with whatever you consider a spirit, God, goddess, creation, nature, whatever you call it, once you actually let go and let that energy guide you, Scorpio begins to show you more blessings. And I remember, I think it's Donna Gerhardt, but some astrologer that I read a long time ago had a wonderful way of describing the energy of Pluto and Scorpio. She said it was like being hung on a meat hook, and you get beaten on that meat hook till you finally surrender. And when you finally surrender, you are sent off on your merry little way with a very precious box of jewels. And I'm not quite condoning that form of teaching, but when you reach that point of surrender, when you reach that point of going, you know what, I am just going to trust in whatever greater presence that is, and I'm just going to go in the direction that takes me. That is when the lessons of Scorpio tend not to use violence, pain, coercion, and control in that sense. But getting to that level spiritually, so the energy of obsessions, also the energy of, well, just doing a thing compulsively again and again and again, because there is that energy and alchemy that comes through whatever drama or intensity Scorpio also generates. And some people will be very happy with that. But if you are wanting to make a change in whatever it is that you're facing right now, you have to be willing to come to that space of surrender. You cannot own, you cannot control. What is yours will be yours, and what is not yours will find its way away from you. When you can actually see life from that perspective, there is nothing at all to fear from Scorpio. But it's hard to do. It's very, very hard to do. And once we actually open our hearts and open our energetic fields in this way, to allow ourselves to align, to allow ourselves to move with whatever energy presents itself forward. And of course, we have the right to say yes or no if we want to go in a particular way. That is actually how we prepare ourselves for the new beginnings or for the new seeds that can be set with this particular energy of the solar eclipse. If it was a lunar eclipse, I'd be saying different. But the energy around solar eclipses gives you that sense of new beginnings because, I mean, this is the thing. Darkness gets such a bad rep, but seeds germinate in the dark. A fetus grows in the darkness of the womb. As I like to say, there are no headlights down there. This is a time where we are being asked to till ourselves. We are being asked to look inside and to plant those seeds that we don't even know will actually germinate into something new or not. We're being asked to let go and have that faith that the next step forward, that the next cycle will be something that actually allows us to heal, to regenerate, and to find whatever equivalent of rebirth we are looking at. So, that's the way I would describe the energy of this particular eclipse. I mean, this is true for all Scorpio new moons, but especially when you got Venus involved, it is important to look at exactly what seeds you are putting your energy into. What is it that you are aligning yourself with, and in what direction? Now, a lot of people are going to be listening to this going, I got to manifest this now. I got to get this to happen now. And that's not it. Sure, something might happen, but it is still a lower frequency of what is possible. Another way, when I try to describe Scorpio to people, another way I describe it is the place the phoenix goes to die. It is the cauldron, it is the pit, it is that space of darkness that is so, so, so important as the precursor to life and rebirth. So that's the kind of vibe we all have right now. That's the kind of energy that's present right now. And it is not easy to handle this. On top of all of that, this particular new moon Venus eclipse is also in conjunct Jupiter. And Jupiter at 0 degrees Aries is all about that essence and energy of authentic self representation. Now, of course, some people are going to take that same Jupiterian energy in Aries and they're going to be all about themselves, all about their ego, all about what they want, all about who they want to do whatever. And they're going to lose sight of what is actually possible. But the inconjunct here is very, very important. Inconjunct is something which you kind of skip 5 astrological houses for, so 150 degrees apart. So the inconjunct between the eclipse and Jupiter also creates a fairly uncomfortable energy for a lot of people, because no matter how deeply we are being triggered or whatever it is that comes up right now, the only answer, the only way we can actually shed light on these questions and real to ourselves as individual beings, as individual souls. The answers are inside. There's nothing that is going to be coming to save you from the outside. And even if it did, it is only because your connection within is that strong. As above, so below. As within, so without. It is essentially the same energy. The answer will come from within. Now, having said that, if you do have anything near 0 degrees of, I believe it should be, let me just have a quick check on this, because, when I'm speaking and trying to think at the same time, it isn't always as easy as if I were to look at something and read from a text, which I don't normally do. But if you do have anything near, let's check. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Yeah, yeah, that should be right. If you do have anything near 0 degrees of Virgo, it would make a very, very powerful yod, if I'm not mistaken. But let me just double check. Okay, yeah. As you can see, not fully tip-top yet, but that's no excuse for giving bad information. Yeah, that should be right. So if you basically look at this energy as an opportunity to find a new direction, to find a new pathway, to embody self-authenticity, to embody whatever part of you that connects to the greater divine, you should be fine. There's no real fuss about this. And if you actually do have anything near 0 degrees of Virgo, it will be even more powerful in showing you a new potential path of service. But to find that potential path of service, you are going to need to let go of a lot of old ways of thinking and old ways of being. And we are back. The other potential yod point, apart from 0 degrees Virgo, is 0 degrees Gemini. And again, there is an opportunity to move forwards and to create something really new if we are willing to let go of old forms of thought, old forms of speech, old ideas of service and understanding. We have to clear through whatever it is we may actually find as fundamental to our sense of self to discover what the next chapter will be. So that's what I have to say for this particular eclipse. Of course, there's a lot more that can be said, but when it comes to Scorpio, it's more about a feeling rather than anything intellectual, rather than anything that you try to grasp in an abstract way. It is more about getting to the roots of yourself. And in so doing, look at what it is you need to cut away, what it is you still need to do or don't. So let me have a quick look at questions. Hang on. Okay. Storm Feltwich says probably sharks nibbling on the trans-cosmic internet cables again. That may make sense. Kitty definitely agrees. Okay. No, not the torty. It is my little white girl who's not really white. Um, okay, we have hello from the Bronx. Okay, that's good. No questions so far that I can see. But the internet, as always, does not necessarily like my work. It tries to. Or maybe it likes it, but it just can't handle it, so it does the equivalent of doing a faint. That's probably it. It probably just swoons when it sees me. So, any questions with back to what we have said so far? Any questions at all? Waiting for a couple of questions, and then I'm going to see if there's anything else interesting worth saying. You can ask anything as usual, and I'll answer if I want to. Um, so, let's have a wait. Man, the internet hates me. Okay, let me see if I can see the text from here. There we go. No, I see numbers dropping, but people already got the main message, so that's fine. Okay, I would say that's about it actually. That's about it in terms of what needs to be said. Just give me a second to try and get some stuff up. Let's see. Here we go. Just looking at any and all last tidbits that I can share that might be useful. Otherwise, you all can get on with your inner work of self-journeying and so on. What else do people do? Let's see. Let's get back to YouTube. Nothing major coming up. Nothing major that I would say anything, bad about. Let's see if there's any further questions. Bear with me here. The net is pants. Here we go. Oh, here we are. Okay. Here we go. Jenna asks, how do you think this will affect people with transiting Uranus conjunct natal descendant? Well, first of all, with Uranus, you can't answer any question at all. You'd have to know a lot more about the natal chart, and even then, Uranus is a bit of a wild card. But the descendant is usually about other people, and usually people that you have very strong connections to. So tends to be the significant other, but really anyone with whom you generally collaborate with. But with Uranus on moving on the natal descendant, that's nothing specific to this. It just means more depth in those areas. Vivid dreams, yes, eclipses can do that. Vivi says, what can we look forward to in a positive way? I would say use the energy of this eclipse to set seeds. It's a good energy to clear away whatever has grown on top of your consciousness and to seed what you want to see the next chapter of. Vernie says, feeling very offish, maybe it's vulnerability, like I'm waiting for bad news. Is this also the energy of the time? Yes, psychic sensitivity is very, very high right now. Sometimes you will be picking up stuff that's actually happening, and sometimes you will actually just be tuning into the energies of anxiety that may be within yourself or even in the people around you. It's very hard to know if what you're feeling is actually what is going to happen, or if you're just more sensitive to what is already present. Hatovia asks, what form of ritual or practice would you recommend we do at this time? I know self-reflection in journalism could be of importance too. For me, on my particular journey and practice, I used to use mantras and rituals as tools, but for me, I realized that what I do within myself is far more powerful. So I've stopped giving recommendations on that front simply because I don't find it as powerful as the energy of actually being with yourself more than anything else. And I don't mean looking at your navel and trying to imagine whatever idea of heaven you have, but literally just taking the time to listen to every part of your being is the most hardcore spiritual practice there is. You need nothing beyond yourself. Nothing, absolutely nothing. So that is actually what I would say, especially with Jupiter in Aries at this time. The answer is already within yourself. You need nothing else. But as a general rule, given that it's Scorpio and given the level of psychic sensitivity, if you are feeling overwhelmed, then use a tool that actually helps you manage your anxiety. Use a tool that actually helps you calm down. Use a tool that you find to be protective. Whether it's a gemstone, whether it's an oil, that's up to you. But do whatever it is that will make you feel more able to control your response to whatever it is that comes up. Dame Lust says this eclipse is on my vertex. Oh, that should be interesting. Complete wild card. Stompelt, which says, what do you do if you genuinely feel like you're in the wrong place at the wrong time? You can change the place. I don't know about the time. Lucian asks, what does this mean for a Scorpio rising sun in Aquarius and Cancer moon? It means that you're going to be a lot more sensitive to this and really need to get your head out of your butt if it tends to reside there. If. Carmen says, Kitty definitely agrees. Yes, she does. Now, if Lucian, if you're the type of person who has overcome the intellectual scaffolding that Aquarius tends to put in its own way of seeking actual psychic connection and consciousness, then you should be fine. Just don't let your head get in your way. That's the main thing that I would say. Go with your feelings and look at what your feelings actually lead you to. Any general questions? Here we go. Issy says, I have a Scorpio rising. I'm not too sure what this means for the eclipse, but do you have any insight? The rising sign, it can actually literally mean your face. It can. But it can also, think about it more so as, how do I put it? It's kind of like the way you see your own personality. That's how I understand the rising signs. It's very much about those aspects of you that you identify as yourself. So, basically your self-identification. That's how I see the energy. Ria sends hearts. Thank you, Ria, for the stuff that you've been sending. And Black sends heart. Hello, fam. How are you? Let's see. EC says, I'm Gemini sun, Taurus moon, and Scorpio rising. Well, same advice as before, don't let your head get the better of you. This is not an intellectual energy. If you're thinking about it, if you're trying to plan your responses, if you're trying to intellectualize what you should be doing and how, you're it's not wrong, but you're also not exactly going to be in the state of most ideal flow. So let go and let God is a phrase that people tend to use for 12-step programs. And I would say it's a very, very good phrase right now. Some of you may be feeling too mentally stimulated, especially if you have air signs as your sun sign. So this is a time where you really need to be doing things that just allow you to let go of those mental loops, which I know is easier said than done. But physical activities, watching things that take your immediate awareness away from it, whether it's even just zonking out in front of telly or watching a documentary, just do things that don't allow yourself to go into states of over mental stimulation. Let's see. Anything else? So far, I think I'm doing okay. And of course, baby in the background agrees. Yes, Saturday says Scorpio ascendant and the eclipse is happening in Scorpio. Yes. So, that we've already covered that. Any other questions that have not been covered, that have not been addressed with respect to what is going on right now? Waiting. Let's see. Otherwise, I can sign off real quick. So we can do a proper Hello Neighbor catch up soon. But I wanted to make sure that I got out here for this. I'm looking at things, and normally I'm a lot more dire about stuff, but this particular eclipse seems to have some good energies if we work on it. Some benevolent energies helping us forward if we choose to cut away what no longer serves. At least that's my opinion. Let's see. Vivi, anything to look out in terms of personal relationships or career? Both. I would say, again, it's more about what you choose right now. So if you are choosing things in those areas, You got to be very discerning as to what you choose. You need to look at whether or not someone has a control drama going on, whether or not someone has a hidden agenda. Even if it's someone who appears to be giving you a lot of things, you have to ask yourself, is this coming out of benevolence, or is this coming with a hook attached somewhere? If you feel very, very, very emotionally drawn to something, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good thing either. It could literally just be past life karma pulling at you like a magnet. So that is also something that you need to be looking at. Izzy says, I'm not sure what's happening with the eclipse, as in what does it mean? Izzy, you need to hit the replay button and go back to the beginning because I've just said all of this stuff and you need to revisit it. Anything else? There we go. So giving you guys opportunity to ask a couple of questions before I sign off. Just because it takes energy to do this kind of work, so I am mindful of that. Okay. Sharon says, can we choose to cut contracts or cord at this time for good? You can always do that. There is never a time where you should not do that. You can always set the intention that if there is something that you need to cut a cord to, there is something that you need to dissolve, let it happen at the right time in the right way. There's no rush on this. There is no rush on doing anything right now. You just have to go with the flow and see what feels right. Ultimately, spirituality comes down to this. Every teacher worth their salt will ultimately take you back to understanding yourself and following your own flow. Anybody who tells you there's more than that wants your money or your energy or both. So ultimately, it just comes back to that. Isi says, how can you cut cords or contracts? You need to Google and look up people who are teaching that because that's not our topic today. Diane says, hi sis, I woke up feeling powerful. Very good. Go do something nice with that power. Go build something, go create something. There are some opportunities. Actually, that brings me to a different point. This is actually a very good time to be investing in things. And just because I say that, I'm not going to ask you to throw your entire house into the stock market. What I'm saying is you need to be looking at what seeds can you invest into? What can you put your energy into that will actually yield something that is creative, that is good, not just for yourself, but other people. But you also need to consider where and how your own unresolved issues, egoic desires, and so on and so forth can be pushing you to invest in the wrong things. So just be very aware of that. Issy, no apologies needed. I get that it's an exciting time and sometimes you just feel like you can ask questions. I see Watchman. Hello, brother. It's good to see you. Watchman is a very, very good friend of mine. We've known each other for years and years and years now. And he always checks in on me, which is really good. Hello, hello. How are you doing? Hello, hello. So yes, that's what I have to say about the eclipse. And as you can see, I look very wild and woolly as usual, so that's good. Let's see. Any other questions? Jenna says, a theme for me has been research. Good. Not committing to any one thing, but investing in the processes I feel drawn to. Very good. Very good. Savita says, you look tired, Dr. B. I am. I am. It's one of those times I was like, I need to rest more, but I also know it's the eclipse. So this phase has to be shown for a short while before I go back into my hobbit healing hut and continue being the adventurer on the high seas, Captain Optimus Meow, playing Pirates of the Caribbean. I did do something cool there. I'll tell you about it once we're done with the eclipse talk. EC says, I've been subscribed to you for a while and I just want to say I appreciate you. Thank you very much, EC. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I appreciate those who enjoy what I have to offer. Sarah says, hi, Dr. B. Hello, Sarah. It's good to see you. So let me tell you what I have been doing, which I know it sounds strange, but for me, I actually am just healing myself bit by bit, block by block, day by day. And whilst I'm doing all of that, as all of you do, I have been having epic adventures as a pirate. And it's been a very interesting week. Lots of Therios activations in the sky, which I see working through a lot of people. And obviously, because the game is made of real people playing, you can see the same dynamic there. And what's funny is that, long story short, I managed to go and lead a rebellion against the Korean behemoths who were basically taking over Port Royal. And me and my small, tiny little group went and fought them. And they decided to honor me even though I was their enemy, which is completely unheard of. Because I am in this game, things are happening that people are looking at as like, how did she do that? What the hell just happened? What is going on here? So, I'm basically facilitating several thousand people low key and they don't really know it's happening. So that's what I've been doing for fun. But, it doesn't take the same type of energy as it does, for example, to do a single session or something. But that has been cool. I am officially Garrison Leader of Port Royal. So I am quite happy with that achievement. It's not real life, but it's still something I was just like, yes, bye. So, that's what I've been doing for fun. And of course, the four little kitty cats are all okay. We have realized that the young boy, Josh, whom I think said hello the last time, he's basically he basically flops around all over the place like he doesn't have a spine. And that's what my brother says Matthew McConaughey looks like on the cover of romantic comedies. He just does not stand straight. He's usually leaning or, slouching or something. So I've decided to call our little boy cat McConaughey, which my brother absolutely hates, but we've been doing that. But beyond that, it's just take every day simple. Say no to all hooks, say no to all things that do not serve. That's, already, that's what's happening. That's what it takes these days. It's like spirituality is not no longer for me, at the very least. It's no longer something that I have to kind of push the envelope on somewhere way up high in the stratosphere or beyond. It's literally just doing what is around me and looking at intention every day with what little things are happening around me. Illness does that, yes, but it's also something that really just brings it back down to everyday life, which is good, which is good. Anissa says, Happy Venus return, if not now, soon. Thank you, thank you. Hopefully, my health will also decide, okay, it's time for a rebirth. Let's get on with it and stop bugging her. So, hopefully, we'll see what happens. Date-wise, I think that should be around early November. That should be early November, so that should be fun. Diane says, New moon energy, what is the suggestion? With this moon, as I have described earlier in the video, you may want to go back to the beginning, follow your feelings, look at what you want to invest in and see if it's worth your time and energy. Whether it's a person or a project or a financial thingy, whether it's a new approach to health, research, or understanding, whether it's just looking at deep parts of yourself in a different way, you can do any of those things. Vivi says, can you please give an alternate payment gateway to donate? PayPal is the easiest for me, and I think someone also set up a GoFundMe for me and my brother because he is also hit with a great deal of the psychic influences that are affecting us at this time. So I'll send both of those links. I'll put it here. But I'll think in your case, I know you're in India, but I'll let you know if I can come up with anything else. But thank you for the question. Avi says, Chart Cafe astrology and the big lines are the same general shape as my natal chart. Beans. Yeah, that should be interesting. Okay, well, having said that, unless there are any big questions that need to be answered, or I can try to answer at the very least. Actually, no, there is something I want to talk about. There is something I do want to talk about. And I've been trying not to talk about it, given how, how fragile my own health has been. But you know what I'm like. If there's something to do that needs to be said, I'll say it. So hopefully this is okay. What has really been on my mind, and I know, yes, health is obviously one thing, but what has really been on my mind is still the extremely painful situation that's happening in the Tigray region of Ethiopia, which, as you know, before my health basically crashed, I was campaigning very hard for it. I'm still following what's going on there, and there hasn't been a change. And I'm not sure if there's something that any one human can do. Just looking at the psychic density of that knocked me out for a couple of months. But yeah, that is still something that I hope that this solar eclipse can, you know, create a new way forward for, create a new chapter to, hopefully with far less loss of life or dignity of the innocent. That's honestly what's been on my mind, but you know, let's see what can be done. So let's see. Vivi asks, will you take sessions early next year? Technically, I can do sessions now, but I just feel like I need to pace myself a lot. So session bookings are open. And if I can't do it, I'll either refund you, I'll just say, hey, can we push it to this and this date? So session bookings are open. You can do it. It would be appreciated. But just be a little flexible with me if I need to reschedule because I am ultra sensitive right now. Watchman says the new moon solar eclipse is exact conjunct your natal psyche and eros. Oh la la, that's very good. Anissa says, did she talk about Scorpio risings already? Yes, I did. I've definitely been having to shift so much in terms of my sense of self, and especially like Dr. Vairi said about practical spirituality. That's a good way of putting it. It's it's not out there. It's inside. And it's not that difficult. It just takes a lot of will and a lot of courage, and I also have been doing things, especially like playing my game, sitting doing stuff, but I've also been working with a couple of young people, teenagers, and I just see all the pain and all the hurt that they're going through right now. And I try to do what I can in a little way. Sometimes just listening to someone is what they actually need to know that the world is not as dangerous as they may imagine, that not everyone is out to get them. Sometimes a little bit of kindness goes a very long way. And I just see in the young people, or younger than me at the very least, mind you, I'm now considered ancient because I'm 35, but anyway, but still, I do find that some kindness is also required at this time. Nalini says, hi, hello, Nalini. By the way, happy Diwali or Diwali, however you pronounce it according to region, to all of you who celebrate it. I also know India is probably ecstatic at this time because the new British Prime Ministers of Indian descent, they're both conservative, so they're going to have a great time. But Nalini says you look in your 20s. Thank you so much. Vivi says happy Diwali. Thank you very much. It's always a bittersweet time for me because my brother and I we had to make very large sacrifices in our lives to keep on a path that allowed us to be respectively in our own way sovereign. So it's a hard time for us because it used to mean something very different for us, but now it's a time of maintaining our energetic boundaries and looking at life in a different way. Vivi says, he won't make any difference to India. Possibly, I don't know. All I know is he's easy on the eyes, and that tends to help. Geronimo says, thank you for sharing your love and light. You are absolutely welcome. I hope I will be able to get back to regular videos and so on and so forth soon. My work is almost always in my thoughts, almost always. And all of you, and I just want to say I'm also been deeply, deeply grateful for all of the support you've given. Some of you financially, some of you just in terms of your well wishes. It means a lot. In this kind of world, instead of running off in different corners, after so many years of work, we have a good community. We have a good community that supports each other, that cares about each other. And you know what? It's actually very rare in this world. It's not that common. And it's a good vibe. And I hope to be able to participate more in that myself. Cesra says, prayers sent for healing, love, and joy for you and bro. Thank you so much. Oh, your dad passed last week. Do you have a crystal to recommend, please? I do. First of all, my sincere condolences. It's never easy. I would say black obsidian. No, not black obsidian. Snowflake obsidian. Snowflake obsidian, I think would be of good use to you. Snowflake obsidian. Also, chrysoprase and green obsidian. Sunny says, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Doing my best. Sharanya says, it's also ecstatic and a good Diwali in India because India won a cricket match. Good, good. Vernie says, yes, Vande Mataram, happy, happy Diwali, easy on eyes. You're looking good, sending you love. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But yeah, with that, I'll sign off. Hang on. Avi says, peace to the family and safe journey to the traveler. I appreciate your words for Cesra. Savita says, best wishes and get well soon. I hope so. I hope so. We just take it one day at a time. I'm still around, so there was a while where I thought that might not be the case, but no, I'm still around, so you'll see. I have some plans to travel, not this year, but next year, so hopefully I'll get to see some of you in person. But first, one step at a time. So many, many, many good wishes for all of you. Keep doing what you are doing in the world. Keep being who you are, and just remember that there is nothing that is more important than what you have here. There's literally nothing more important than that. I'm not going to say there's nothing more powerful than yourself because that's bullshit. If you get caught in an earthquake, the earthquake's going to die. You're going to die in the earthquake. The earthquake will win. If you get caught just in front of a bus, same thing. So I'm not going to use the terms of power, but in terms of importance in the spiritual journey, what you have in your heart, is the most powerful things with respect to how you navigate your journey. Never lose sight of that. There is no point in anything, any relationship, any person, any culture, any tradition, any ritual. There is nothing that is worth you losing the truth of what is inside your heart and being. And if your heart and being is focused on someone who's not you, you are doing it wrong. Get back to yourself. That's the most important thing. That if I had to summarize this eclipse, that is what you need to be doing. That's what I'm trying to do as well. So, Bernie says, you worry about you and you don't hear from me. Thank you so much. Pray heal quickly. I hope so too. So take care. Very many blessings and lots of love. Ciao, ciao for now. Bye-bye.